Don't move. Turn your fantasy football into reality. Here's CJ.
Enough of the silliness. So, fantasy football owners out there, how many quarterbacks did you use last year? Probably more than two. Probably up in 3, 4, 5, 6 range on some teams. I had one team where I used 7 quarterbacks during the course of the year, and I won the league championship with Joe Flacco and Tyrod Taylor at the helm. I also used Minshew during the year. I had Rodgers, got about a half of a set of downs off of him. Cousins. I mean, it was just horrible for everybody. I won the league with Joe Flacco and Tyrod Taylor as if it was 2017 all over again. Amazing. But last year there was 66 quarterbacks used who started an NFL game. The year before that was a similar number. So in a 10-team league, we're all going to need 6 quarterbacks by theory. I mean, it doesn't work out exactly like that, but you know, all these guys you had, like we used to tease people for carrying around so many backup quarterbacks on their bench, and then all of a sudden they have them and we need them and they don't give them up. And all of a sudden they're winning league championships like me on that one. But that was just pure luck more than anything else. Like, who would have ever thunk that, right? I should not. That was a rebuild too. That was a team that I did not expect to win, but so many injuries to so many of the teams ahead of me that, you know, I got lucky. So I'm not anticipating winning that league a second year in a row, but I know my team is getting better, right? But anyway, as far as looking for quarterbacks, if you're in the off season now and you're looking for a quarterback, I was watching a podcast called The Herd. If you've never watched that before, it's a good podcast, and it's filled with great ideas. And not everything that this guy says is something that I believe, but when I'm looking at something that he wrote down or showed us the other day, and I was absolutely amazed at the difference between some of these quarterbacks. He was comparing Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and Matt Stafford to Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson. Now, you and me, we look at the games and go, oh, that's not even that, you know, but in the fantasy football world, it's about the numbers. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about how many points you put up for me so that I could win my game. And when the things that are important, touchdown passes is one of them. Yardage is another. And Russell Wilson's yardage over the last 2 years has been extremely low. It's not even 7,000 yards in 2 years. Baker Mayfield, though, he's thrown for 8,300 yards in the last 2 years. And remember, 2 years ago, he played for like 3 different teams. So this is quite remarkable that Baker Mayfield has 8,300 yards passing over the last 2 years. And all those guys I just mentioned to you, Stafford, Lawrence, Wilson, etc., the only one of those that has more passing yards than Baker Mayfield is Justin Herbert at 8,800. Only 500 yards more. That's 250 a year. That's only 20 yards a game. It's not even 20 yards a game. It's like 15 yards per game played difference between Herbert and Mayfield. Now, Herbert has 45 touchdown passes, and Baker in the last 2 years only has 38. And the interceptions are about the same. Mayfield's at 18, Herbert's at 17. But Russell Wilson isn't far off on all the stats except the yardage. He's got 42 touchdown passes, which is more than Mayfield. He's right in there, 19 interceptions, so that's all the same. The quarterback rating for all these guys is all around 90, 1 or 2 above or below 90. So they're all in that same 90-ish range. But Baker Mayfield has more passing yardage than Matt Stafford and Trevor Lawrence. Imagine that. Now, Trevor Lawrence has 8 more touchdown passes in 2 years, but remember, again, Mayfield 2 years ago didn't really have a team to play on. But Lawrence also has 22 interceptions over that time frame, which is more, well, it's like 3 or 4 more than everybody else on that list. So if I'm looking at that list, I know I have to pay huge to get Herbert, and I should. He's had some bad luck, and it's just he's better than all those guys, and he's better for fantasy football than all those other guys too. But Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to have to pay big for him because he was the #1 pick overall and so forth. Matt Stafford, I'm going to have to pay more for him because he's got great wide receivers now, and he did come on at the end of last year after his injury issues and such, and I like Matt Stafford, and you have to pay a little bit more. But you can get Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson fairly inexpensively, and those guys always consistently are getting 15 to 20 points in fantasy every single week. And to get a guy like that as your QB2, or to have on the bench in case of injury, there's nothing wrong with that. And if Wilson winds up in a good location, like maybe he winds up in San Francisco, I just throw that out there, or Pittsburgh, or somewhere like that, where he has some receivers and a good offense, those statistics for Russell Wilson are probably going to be closer to Justin Herbert than anything else. So I'm not afraid. There it is, right? I got it right. I got it right. I'm not afraid to go get him. And he's not going to cost me a whole lot of money to get him because nobody knows what he's going to do. He's got Denver by the short and curlies, by the Jills, so to speak. And Mayfield, if he winds up back in Tampa, that's a good thing. Now, you'll recall I did a show on Baker Mayfield about a year ago. And one of the questions I asked myself was, do I want Baker Mayfield on my team? And I said, I think so. You should go back and take a look at that. That was a pretty good show. It was fun. But Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson are a whole lot cheaper to go and get than Stafford, Lawrence, and Herbert. And if what you're looking for is that bench quarterback, the guy you can put in the bye week, in a super flex, that quarterback 2, those are two excellent targets. Another one which wasn't mentioned there is Jimmy G. I just have this feeling he's going to wind up back in New England. He's going to be a starting quarterback this year for what they promise to be a more offensive team. It could be offensive, offensive. How do you say that? Yeah. Anyway, it was a bad joke, bad attempt at a joke. Anyway, they're going to draft a quarterback. They have the 3rd overall pick. But the 3rd overall pick, I think what their design is, bring in a veteran to look after the rookie for a year, let the rookie take over. And Jimmy G likes it there. They like him. He's going to be free, or he's a free agent now, and he's going to wind up there. So there are some guys out there that you can get for your fantasy team now that will cost you almost nothing.